Guys, it's me, Shaw360, and it's time to do the review for episodes 15 and 16 of Uncontrollably Fond. And right now, I feel so drained. As you can see, I'm in the same clothes from the review for episode 13 and 14 because I'm back-to-back watching these things, trying to get caught up. And the end of episode 16... like, I don't even know. We have 2 weeks left of this show, and I'm so nervous for these 2 weeks. Like, really, I'm so trapped. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about story arcs rather than talk about characters and go by each character's kind of time frame, because I spent a lot of time on my last review talking about Noel, and I don't think I spent as much time talking about other characters. I think this is probably a more fair way to go about things. So let's start with the cutest story arc. It's the one with Nojik and Haru. Basically, Nojik is an old man, and he doesn't know anything about romance. This is his first time having a crush on a girl, and he just doesn't know how to deal with it. So he tries to approach it in kind of like a scholarly way, and he's been reading books, and, you know, he's really trying to approach it in a more academic way than through his heart, whereas Haru is like all heart, no head. Like, she's a ditz. And it's really crazy that you have a guy who's so intelligent who's crushing on a girl who is just so not. But it is adorable to watch him kind of go through the motions of trying to navigate first love. Because, you know, Haru, of course, she's all about, let's get down to business. Let's start kissing and hugging and wearing couples clothes and going out on dates and da-da-da. And he's kind of like, you know, how about we not do anything until I graduate high school, limit our contact to holding hands, and meet each other's families. And she's like, what, are we in the Joseon era? But when he goes to hold her hand, even that gets little Nojik's heart racing. So he's like, we can't do that anymore either. Like, it's crazy. And then he even tries to, like, I won't say Mac, but he tries to kind of put the moves on Nari. Not like he's really trying to seduce her. More like trying to see, like, if I contact you in this way, does it affect me? Because, like, maybe something's wrong with me. No, it's because you're in love, dummy. But, you know, he's still one of my favorite characters. So I love him. And I love that he's kind of getting a chance to have something good in his life that doesn't necessarily have to do with his kind of black and white perspective on the world. So that was really nice. Another story arc I want to talk about is the story arc with Junyoung and his mother, and then also right after that I want to talk about the story arc with Assemblyman Choi and Junyoung and his mother. So Junyoung and his mother, they seem to have come to a more friendly spot in their relationship. They have a little joking back and forth, but it's definitely not nearly as adversarial as it was when the series first started, which, thank goodness, because I thought I was going to have to come through and, like, smack his mom up because she was really getting on my nerves when the series first started. But they're a little bit more friendly, and at one point she tells her son, you know, you need to quit being so mean to Noel. If you want her, take her. You deserve it. Don't feel like because you are your father's son that you can't have her, because as far as we're concerned, he's a stranger to us. And, you know, that's a really big admission on her part, because she spent so many years being so in love with this man and kind of lording it over her son's head that he comes from this perfect person. But finally she's acknowledging that, you know, he doesn't have anything to do with our life. You know, we are who we are, and he's just a sperm donor, basically. So you don't have to feel obligated to live your life by him any longer. And Junyoung thanks her for making that admission, even though, you know, they have this kind of relationship where they can't really directly say I love you to each other. And there's a moment where he holds his mom's face and he says, just tell me you love me, in a sexy, coquettish way. And his mom's like, get the fuck out of here. It was so adorable. But yeah, like, it was really nice to see them get to that point, because that is the thing that I have been worried about in this series, that he was going to die without letting his mom know that he was sick, but also that they were going to die in this same kind of frenemies mode. And I didn't want that, you know. I didn't want that for her, because despite some of the negative things she said to Junyoung, I truly believe she loves her son. I believe she loves her son more than anybody else, and I think it would take losing her son to realize how much time she's wasted. And I wanted her to at least have a few moments of, like, pure motherly love with him before he was gone. So I'm glad to see their relationship is picking up. Unfortunately, there's another parental relationship that seems to be in the balance, and it is Assemblyman Choi. Of course, after realizing that Shin Jun-young is using the maiden name of his mother, he had to investigate things, and turns out that the mother, of course, her lies are unfolded. He realizes she's not married, that she had this child on her own, and that the timeline being what it is, this has got to be his son. It's got to be his son. And he doesn't know how to take it. And so he's going to show up at Jun Young's house and do what? I don't know. But he's interceded by Jae-tae. And Jae-tae is like, what the hell are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I'm just here to invite him to sing at one of our openings or something. You know, celebrities. I got to do that shit in person. His son is like, yeah, whatever, Dad. You know, what do you really know? And of course, Dad's like, nothing. I'm just here for that. But then Dad's like, well, wait a minute. How do you know what I'm here for? And so they kind of have a little bit of a confrontation with each other, and just like, you know what you know, and I know what I know, and we know the same thing. So Dad, you know, he has to sit and think about this for a minute, because this is like really startling stuff. To find out that the woman you loved gave birth to your child, and then to find out that that child has saved your life before, had tried to come up to you and establish some kind of, you know, contact, if you will, and then also probably thinking about like all the negative things they've had between them, and think about the fact that you weren't there for this child, that she had to go through raising this child by herself. You know, like there's a lot to think about in this whole situation, and in some ways I can almost imagine the emotions he's going through, you know, anger, loss, betrayal, shame. I mean, just the list goes on and on. But Jae-tae sees his father at the house later on that evening, sitting in the driveway, kind of contemplating all this. And he pulls his dad out the car. Well, didn't pull him out, but, you know, tells Dad to get out the car. And he's like, Dad, I need you to promise no matter what happens, you're going to stay with Mom. Which is a fairly astute thing to ask, because he knows that his dad, now knowing that this woman had his child, might be tempted to try to establish more contact. I mean, because the dad's sitting outside the restaurant watching her, because he's trying to, you know, figure out a way to get back in there. And Dad's like, you know what, I promise I'll stay by your mom as long as you promise to stay by your mom. And Jae-tae's like, no, I can't promise you that, because I'm trying to get the fuck out of here. And that leads us to our other story arc, the messy Choi family dynamic. Okay, so Jae-tae thought he was going to establish a coup and get his mom kicked out the company. He was going to hold this emergency conference to talk about the fact that his mother is a terrible manager. So we did not know this. But apparently everybody in the Choi household gets a job with this CJ group as part of like the family legacy, which I don't know anything about Korean politics and stuff like that, so you would have to fill me in if you know any more about this. But apparently nepotism is super duper strong, and the mom has a job at the company, the dad has a job at the company, and the son has a job at the company, and then the daughter-in-law had a job at the company. Everybody's got a job at the company. But apparently the mother, in her capacity for the company, she's been trying to push all these projects that really are like crap projects, but because of the whole nepotism and everything else, they always say yes to anything she suggests, and the projects are terrible. They lose money, they're an embarrassment to the people who are shareholders, and the stock price is plummeting, but no one can say no. And so he intends to out his mother's failures as a manager to the rest of the shareholders and try to get her booted out of her position. But the thing is, Korea has a very kind of what we call in the United States old boy network, where people kind of protect their own. Like, you may have fucked up, but if we're all a part of the same political party, or we're all a part of the same business group, we're going to protect you until your failures become public. And so when he calls this emergency board meeting, of course nobody shows up but his dad, who was like, so you're finally got the balls to stand up to us? Hope you win, even though of course no one shows up to this emergency board meeting. And you know, Jae-tae claims it's because he's trying to see how powerful his mother was, which, whatever, son. Like, I still feel like he's very naive when it comes to like these social politic type things. But yeah, after that, he is talked to by his uncle, and his uncle's like, how dare you try to get your mother fired from this job? You know, do you not have any shame? I know that business is ruthless, but you need to respect your family. And when he said that, that's what triggered in my mind, you know, this really is a big thing that he's doing. Because while, yes, you know, cronyism is real big in Korea, and, you know, having a public face is very big, nothing, and I mean nothing, is more important than the filial system, being the filial son, being very family oriented. And for him to go against his family in such a vocal and public way, he's really committing one of the ultimate taboos in Korean society, and that's by not being the good son. And the fact that he's willing to go this far just shows how much separation is in this family and how much their relationship has devolved. So now they're kind of all against each other. Of course, you know, Haru doesn't know how to do nothing because she's, you know, her head filled with air. But, you know, the mother has now got her son against her. The father is having to go against his son to try to protect the mother. But then the mother and the father, it seems like their relationship really doesn't have much to it. If you notice at the beginning of the series, there were a lot of scenes with the father, Assemblyman Choi, showing a lot of love towards Madam Choi, but now you really don't see much interaction between those two at all. And that may be why Jae-tae was asking his father, will you stay with mom, because, you know, I'm fixing to get out of here, you and me are fighting, I'm trying to get her fired, you know, we're splitting up, the family is splitting up, but, you know, if you two are going to be snakes, then maybe y'all could at least be snakes together. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that one. Also, you know, as part of this whole family dynamic, there's the whole trying to get Jae-tae and Jung-un together. So let's talk about Jung-un for a minute, and she's her own kind of story arc. So Jung-un is, of course, you know, a product of her father's system of life. His whole we're better than the little people type thing. Anybody who doesn't do what she wants to do, or anybody she judges to be out of her social class, she treats them that way. She treats them like as peons. And because of it, she, of course, can't understand why anybody would want anything to do with Noel, and definitely why they would choose her over Jung-un, who is this, you know, society-bred, perfect woman. You know, and she's used to people treating her favorably and getting what she wants when she wants. So she's upset. She's upset, and that's why she treated Noel so bad. But she's also upset with Shin Jin-young. And part of it is because as a celebrity, he's kind of on her level, but at the same time, he doesn't come from money, so he's not really on her level. But she looks at him and is like, well, I'm a beautiful woman, I'm powerful, you should just automatically want me. I should never have to wait for your affections. I should never have to try hard to get you to want to be with me. So what is the problem? And I don't think she's used to somebody really calling her on her shit who has the ability to call her on her shit. And Shin Jin-young was like, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to having you get in a relationship with me. The thing is, though, I'm not going to be in a relationship with you when you're trying to use me to play your fiance and you don't really intend to be with me. Like, if you really intend to be with me, then I'll give it a shot. But just so you know, I have other people I'm interested in, so don't think that I'm going to be easy. And it's a little bit of a challenge to her. So, of course, she's trying to pursue him. But then Jae-tae, all these years, she's been trained that her and Jae-tae are like-minded people. They are each other's equals. This is the fate that she was supposed to have. She was entitled to have this. And Jae-tae's being, you know, very kind of like, you know, just disagreeable about everything. And of course, she's thinking, you know, this is one more thing I'm supposed to have. I'm not getting. I'm mad about it. But she doesn't really want to let go. And in these episodes, she's kind of had to come to grips with, are you going to pursue Jae-tae and try to get him to be yours? Are you going to pursue Shin Jin-young and try to get him to be yours? Because in order to do one, you've got to let go of the other. And by the end of the 2 episodes, we finally see her letting go of Jae-tae, even though there was a moment there where it seemed like she was going to try to beg the mother to, like, forget the little phone call that she made saying that she had given up Jae-tae. But then the mother did something, and it was something so underhanded and so in character for her that, you know, it kind of helped make up Jung-eun's mind. So Jung-eun goes to see mom at the company. After seeing Jae-tae and telling him you need to do better by your family, she goes to the mother's office, and the mother's like, I bought you a purse, and don't worry about that phone call you made about liking another man. I can take care of him, just like I took care of that messy business several years ago. Now, we're not exactly sure what she's talking about. We're not sure if she's talking about she took care of the car accident, or she's talking about other stuff as well. But apparently her bringing that up, it just speaks too much of manipulation. And I think finally Jung-eun sees, like, you know, maybe I never really did want Jae-tae. Maybe I just wanted Jae-tae because you wanted me to have him. And you know what? I'm too good to be run by you. So, no, I've got a new man, bitch. Fine, move around, kick rocks. I don't find somebody else to be your daughter-in-law. But she doesn't say it quite that harshly. Instead, she agrees to go to dinner at the house because she decides that in front of the family, she's going to break off the engagement. So she goes to dinner at the house. Jae-tae shows up. Dad shows up. Mom is there. Haru's there. Everybody's ready to have dinner. But she's like, hold up, wait a minute. She pulls the engagement ring off, puts it in Jae-tae's hand, says, you know what, it's time to call it a day. I'm done with you. And then she turns to the father and the mother, says, and I would appreciate if you guys not hold that favor you did for me over my head, because I think my dad has done enough to repay you for your kindness. Grabs her purse and scoots on. Which, I mean, you know, as much as I hate Jung-eun, and I really, really do, she's totally right. You know, yeah, you did a favor for me and you kept me out of jail, but let's be clear, my dad gave you everything he promised to give you in exchange. And me and Jae-tae and our whole situation, he needed to play ball on that as well. He doesn't want to do it, well then I don't need to keep up my side of the agreement anymore either. All debts are paid off. And of course the family is in shock, and you know, numbskull Haru doesn't even know what the fuck's going on, so she's like, what, huh, what? But yeah, I mean, that situation, this is the thing, right? Jae-tae at one point goes over to Jun-young's house to tell him to quit pursuing Jung-eun. He's like, that's the woman that your father wanted as his daughter-in-law, so you need to leave her alone. Well, this is the thing, Jae-tae. Do you want Jung-eun? And if you don't want her, why is it a problem for Jun-young to pursue her? If you don't want Noel, then go ahead and fully commit yourself to Jung-eun. But you can't straddle this line. You've got to pick one or the other. That's why I think a lot of times, you know, as much as he battles it and as much as he won't give in, Jung-eun and Jae-tae, they're made for each other. Because they really are kind of cut from the same cloth. They're both these kids that were raised with entitlements. And whereas she's given herself fully to the life of this entitlement, he thinks that he's kind of a holier-than-thou type person. And because he has such a sterling moral code, that's why he is able to have this entitlement. And it's like, both of you are wrong. Both of you don't know what the hell's going on in the real world. But I digress. Speaking of the conversation that Jae-tae had with Jun-young, he's like, go ahead and die with dignity and class rather than trying to play these games. Jun-young is dying. I know we say this every time, but Jun-young is dying. And he had this idea, I'm assuming, that he was going to keep Noel at a distance, and he was going to pursue his relationship with Jung-eun so that he can try to get the justice that Noel deserves. But what he didn't anticipate is that Noel was going to find out about his illness. So somehow or another, oh wait, let me go back a little bit. So you remember Noel had got that money. She got that money and she spent that money on clothes for her friend. But then she kind of got drunk and left the clothes sitting outside and didn't take care of them. Well, she wakes up the next day, and of course she has the meeting with Jung-eun, the birthday meeting, and as she's waiting for the elevator to leave that disaster of a meeting, she has kind of a daydream about her and Jung-young being together, but that doesn't happen. But she's still kind of like not quite over him, not quite sure what to do, so of course she goes home heartbroken. Wakes up that morning, and her friend's like, hey, somebody stole all the clothes, so now, you know, you're not going to be able to get your money back, and you need that money because you need to pay back this 1 billion won that you got from the mother, which turns out, I went ahead and I did like a conversion. It's like almost $900,000. That's a ton of money. That's a ton of money just to be given to people. Like, that's crazy that they have that kind of money to play around with. But anyway, she's like, Nari is talking to Noel, and she's like, if you don't give this money back, I'm going to tell your brother where this money came from. And you know that he's not going to approve of that. And of course, as much as Noel wants to use this money to help her brother and help their life, as she deserves to do, at the same time, she would rather struggle the way she's doing than maybe lose the last family member she has. Because Nojik's the kind of kid with his moral code, he would probably cut his sister off after hearing her do something like this. So since the clothes were stolen, she has to find a way to come up with the money for the clothes that were stolen, because she wants to give back the 1 billion won, but she spent like 1 million of it on clothes, which is, and when I did the math, it was about like $900. So she goes to Junyoung and says, you have insulted me and you've led me astray, and really, you know, our breakup isn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. You did, so you need to pay me compensation for, you know, time lost and affections misplaced. And Junyoung doesn't even argue. He gives her a check and is like, you can write out for however much you want. You can have all my money if you want. I don't care. Just, you know, leave me alone. So she's like, fine. I'm going to write it out for this $900. And after that, I don't ever want to see you again, you evil bastard. So she's done with him. She's done with him. But then she gets a call from the producer of the documentary, because she was replaced as producer. And he's like, I need you to go over these tapes because you didn't label them and there's no audio on some of these, so work over them. She's looking at the tapes, and as she's looking at the tapes, she reads Junyoung's lips and realizes that he is dying. So somehow or another, she manages to visit his doctor, which in America, we have HIPAA laws. There's no way this situation could happen in America. But she goes to the doctor and says, I know that Junyoung is sick. I know he's dying. How long does he have left? And the doctor just tells it all because, you know, whatever. And she shows up at Junyoung's house. And she's like, I'm going to be back on the camera crew. It's going to be great. And he's like, no, you need to get the fuck out of here. I don't want you no more. And part of it is because he's trying to go through with this plan he has to seduce Jung-un, and I guess maybe get her to confess to the crime or to create some kind of evidence so that he can get her convicted for this crime. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, he keeps pushing Noel away. But Noel, she's not going anywhere. Even if she has to vent her frustrations to his mother and anybody else who will listen, she's not going away because she realizes she has no time left with him. And at one point, at the very end of episode 16, she's breaking down outside of his place. It's like, I just want to spend time with you. You know, whatever seconds we have left, I just want to stare at you until you disappear. But please, just, you know, let me in so I can do this. Quit trying to push me away. And of course, you know, Junyoung, he can't let her in because he's got to see this through. His plan, he's got to see it through. The problem is that Junyoung is losing sight of the plan because the illness that he has affects his brain, and things are starting to happen with him that make it impossible for him to continue his plan. He starts going around the house calling for the dog, not realizing that he had sent the dog away previously. He has an alarm on his phone that says he has 13 days until the statute of limitation runs out on the murder case. He doesn't remember what the alarm is for. And it is just, I don't know. I know it's not real. I know it's not real. But it is just, I was watching this and I was like, no, 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 no. Because I love Junyoung. Like, I love the character that Woo Bin has created. And even though him pushing Noel away, it's been frustrating beyond belief. I'm like, just tell the truth. Just get together. Tell her what you're doing. She'll understand. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. But he's frustrating in that way. But he is dying. He is dying. And even if he's not going to try to give himself over to Noel because he wants to get this taken care of, at least tell somebody. Tell somebody. Tell Gukyoung. You know, he'd be great because at least he would be like, okay, well, since, you know, you're trying to get this taken care of, I'll help you out, friend. How about that? How about tell your manager, listen, I know you're mad at me and you see me seducing all these women. Let me tell you what's really going on here. Maybe you can help me out and we can work this out. But the problem is that he's losing his mind. And eventually he's going to start to believe that he actually does hate Noel. He's going to forget all the time they spent together and what they've been building. He's going to accidentally, genuinely fall in love with Jung-un. He's going to forget that he's trying to blackmail her. He's going to start forgetting a lot of things. And eventually he's going to forget Noel and what he was supposed to do for her, and all this plotting and planning and all this kind of pushing her to the side while he tries to protect her future. It's going to be for nothing, because he's going to forget that he was doing this for her. He's going to forget that he was doing this for her, and he'll die having accomplished nothing because his mind won't let him win. And I'm we've got 2 weeks, and I don't know what to do. I'm just so heartbroken about this. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I think I've covered most everything. There might be some stuff I haven't covered, but, you know, a lot of that's incidental. But, yeah, this story, you know, there's not a lot of plot to it, but the characters, man, they just really, whoo! Woo-bin. I've never watched you in a drama before, but now I want to watch everything because you're so good. Oh, something I meant to mention from the very beginning. The mannequins in the house. Creepy, creepy fuckers. The one mannequin seems to be a Pinocchio, and the other one I think is Pippi Longstocking. But the Pinocchio one, have you noticed that, like, whenever Jun Young is, like, in the midst of one of his big lies, they, like, show the camera with the nose pointing out? I think it's a subtle dig. That, and like every once in a while they'll have Jun Young and Noel wearing similar colors or similar styles of clothes, as if to kind of be couples clothes without being couples clothes. I don't know. I just noticed that every once in a while. But anyway, yeah, that's everything for this review, and I will see you guys on probably my reviews for W. But if you're not watching W, then I will see you on next week's review for Uncomfortably Fond. Ha! That's a Freudian slip. Uncontrollably Fond. I will see you guys later. Bye.